In this video, we're going to continue our discussion on client-side Xbasic, which is the ability to use Xbasic functions to handle the HTML events in a grid component when the grid component is running on the desktop, which includes working preview. So you can see here that because it's running on the desktop and it's Xbasic, we can put a debug1 statement into the client-side event handler, and now you can see we're actually debugging into the function over there. And you can see here, for example, that obj got passed in, and if we do a properties enum of obj, we can get to see all of the properties of this obj object, which is a pointer to the button that was clicked, that are passed into the event handler. And then here's the message that actually gets displayed. So if we carry on running, there's our Xbasic event handler. So now let's see what happens if we run this now actually in our browser. So when we run it in the browser and we click that button, what we should get is an error. And the reason that we should get an error is that in the browser you can't see those Xbasic functions, and the JavaScript function definition for function 1 doesn't exist. So when I go ahead here and I press this button, there's my error that says function 1 is not defined. So next we're going to talk about a technique that you can use when you're using a grid both on the desktop and on the web, how you can define your event handler functions so that they're going to work in both environments. So let's go back now to design mode right now, and what I'm going to do is go to the Xbasic function over here, and I'm going to change it to be, say, function XB. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and define a JavaScript version of function 1, and this JavaScript function is going to either run some code, continue to run some JavaScript code if I'm running in the browser, but if I'm running on the desktop in a working preview mode, then it'll turn around and call this function over here. So let's see how we go ahead and do that. So you can see here that in declarations global, which is where I define a global JavaScript function, I've defined function 1. So now when this event handler fires, it's going to call function 1 over here, which is a JavaScript function. And temporarily, let's just ignore that code over there, and then it's going to just display a JavaScript message box saying this is JavaScript, and you clicked on and then obj ID. But you'll see what I also have over here is a reference to the grid objects underbar embedded mode method. So this is a new property of the grid object, and if I'm running in working preview or on the desktop, then embedded mode is true. So you'll see that if I'm running in embedded mode, then this property is true. So therefore we're going to turn around and call this function, which happens to be defined using Xbasic over there, and then we'll just exit out of this function. But if we're running in the browser, then embedded mode is false, so we'll just skip over this, and then we'll just call the JavaScript. So now let's go ahead and save this and run it now on the desktop. So we'll go to working preview and click this button, and you can see there we call our Xbasic function. So there we invoke our Xbasic function. But now let's go to the browser and click the button. And previously, you'll recall, we got an error when we clicked the button because function 1 wasn't defined. But now when we press this button, the JavaScript function continues to execute, and there's our JavaScript message. So using this technique here, we've created a function handler in JavaScript that's going to cause this grid to work whether it's being run on the desktop or in the browser. Thank you very much.